Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about some first-time writer mistakes. These are some things that I've noticed that writers have done over the past 20 years that I've been in the business. And so I just wanted to share with you a few things that I see as a mistake that, new debut first-time writers make. The first thing, you will rewrite and revise this first project probably more times than you can imagine, okay? So I know once you get that first draft done, you're just like, oh, finally, I'm done. But trust me, you're probably gonna read it a few times to make sure it's good. You're probably gonna share it with friends, family members. If you are part of writing groups, you probably are gonna share it with beta readers. You're probably gonna share it with other author friends. You're gonna pay editors to read it. Please make sure you save every version where you're making major plot changes. Okay, let me say that again. Make sure anytime you're making major changes to your project, you are saving every version, even going so far as to take notes on what the differences are between each version. And the reason I suggest this is because, as we know, reading is really subjective. So what I might point out as problematic or something you need to fix, another editor or agent might feel differently. Another reader might feel differently. Everyone will, depending on their own life experience and professional experience, will kind of see different things in your writing. And so when you're making major changes, you may very well change something that someone else likes. And then they're like, oh my gosh, I would love it if blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh crap, that was in a previous version that I changed because so and so told me, and now you have to try to reinvent what you've written. I'm sorry, guys. I have some fuzz here, and I cannot ignore it. And no, I don't want to re-record. Anyways. So yeah, you want to make sure that you're saving every version because this really, I'm telling you, it's going to change your experience because you're going to be making so many major changes. And again, you're probably going to find at least one person that's going to wish you had this prologue or wish your character did this thing that you probably have had in a previous version. The next thing, as you're working on your manuscripts, especially if you're not working in any kind of software that automatically saves like every 30 seconds, you should be saving often, even as you're doing spell check, even as you're reading through things, every 25 pages, every chapter, every major change or addition you make, I would save it. And I say that as someone who has had many computers crash, and has had Microsoft Word crash on me. I have a MacBook, and I'm sure many of you know if you're using Microsoft products on a MacBook, there are the weirdest glitches in there, like ever. And so you want to make sure that, you have a version, you have it constantly saved and backed up somewhere. I have an external drive and I back up my laptop probably every month, every 2 months, just to make sure that I don't lose my stuff. Because if you're like I am, my life is on my computer. And as we know, these things crash, they die out, some weird, funky thing happens and you can't open a document. So you want to make sure you have all of your important work backed up, okay? The next thing is find a trustworthy critique partner or beta reader or sensitivity reader or editor that you can confide in and use that will help you to make your work as strong as possible. This is a business where there are a lot of aspiring writers and we get a lot of submissions. So what is going to stand out about your submission besides the fact that you're a great storyteller? Well, you're professional, your work is polished, free of typos and glaring grammatical errors, and bad formatting, right? I've done a video on formatting. So if you haven't checked that out, please check it out because all of these things help to make your work stand out. It also shows us that you are willing to do whatever it takes to be the best partner that you can be the best author that you can be. So I would definitely suggest, having someone on hand where when you're done your projects, or even as you're writing, if you need someone to coach you and kind of keep you on track, that you have done your research, and you found a great person that you can trust that will be critical but provide constructive criticism that can help you to grow as an author. Please, if you decide to switch your book from first person to third person narrator, or from third person to first person narrator, please step away from it when you're done making those changes. Take a week, a few days, a few weeks, a month, however long you need to reset and refresh, because again, things will probably just start looking right to you because you read it so many times. But please take a step away, come back and reread that book from start to finish. I can't tell you how many times as a developmental editor I've declined projects because from the first chapter I've noticed that the author did one of those and did not do it right. And so now I'm pretty much rewriting the book, trying to change the narrator because there's so many areas where the author missed. So how can I now focus on the story problems if I'm rewriting the book? Now, there are some freelance developmental editors that don't mind doing this. So please, if this is what you know is a problem, let them know beforehand so that they can tell you, oh yes, I specialize in this, I have no problem doing that, because you don't want to end up in the situation that I was in, where I had to unfortunately decline working with an author because the switch was not done properly and I was doing a lot of rewriting. I don't want to rewrite your book. As an editor, I want to make you a stronger writer. I want to help you to learn how to fix those problems so that with each draft and each book, you're becoming a better writer. And how can you do that if I'm doing the work for you? Okay. The next thing that I would suggest is take a creative writing class. Please take a writing class. I've taken many editing classes, and I remember I felt really insulted when one of my managers suggested to me that I take a developmental editing class, because at that point I had been in my job for some years. So I'm like, oh, what do you mean? I need to learn how to, and I know how to edit. Well, clearly I didn't. And I learned a ton in that NYU publishing program, not just about editing fiction, but editing nonfiction and understanding the differences. So if you all write fiction, write nonfiction, or write both, please take a writing class in both, one or the other. Take a copy editing class. It really will help you to make your writing as strong as possible. Next thing, this is something that I've said so many times, so I'm sorry for all of you who are subscribers who watch every video. You're probably like, Latoya, I'm tired of hearing this. But please research your marketplace, wherever you find your books that you want to read, the library, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, your local bookstore, book bloggers. Know what a best-selling book looks like, not just subject matter. How is the book written? How is it formatted? By being well-read, this will help you to hone your own crafts. This will help you with certain simple basics and tools that you may not be able to afford to pay for a class. You may not be able to afford to pay for a writer's conference, where you can get some of these tools. So what better way to learn than by using examples? Buy books on writing, yes, but also buy the actual books within the genre that you want to write. If you're writing nonfiction, each nonfiction subgenre has different ways in which things are written. For example, a narrative memoir is not going to be written like a prescriptive advice book. The prescriptive advice book may have snapshots of their life, yes, but usually there's some takeaway. Usually it's formatted in certain bullet notes, things like that. So, you want to make sure that you're writing the book for the right audience, right? You want to make sure that you're doing everything that you can on your end to successfully publish this book, okay? So staying abreast of the marketplace, knowing what a best-selling book looks like, and knowing how you fit within the marketplace. Also, take direction from these established authors. Look at their books. Yes, but look at their social media. Look at their back cover copy. How can you write your own, especially for those who aspire to self-publish? What does a best-selling cover look like so that when you're hiring your designer, you have a look that looks polished and just like your competitors? What kinds of marketing and promotional things are these authors doing? How are they interacting with their fan base? How are they interacting with their readership? You can get so much information for free. You just have to take the time to do the research, okay? Also, a most common legal mistake that people make is using song lyrics without the author, without the author as in the writer, the songwriter's permission. Okay. Legally, you are only allowed to use 2 lines of a song without technically getting that songwriter's permission. So for those of you who have characters that are singing the songs and you've got full out lyrics, yes, there are a lot of people that do it and a lot of people that don't get caught. But you, my dear, might be that author that takes off, right? And this book becomes a huge bestseller and you making big money. And then that song artist is going to say, hey, wait a minute. You got my song in your book illegally. I want some of that money. And they can sue you. Okay, so be careful about including song lyrics without getting the artist's permission. You can very well summarize, name the song for the reader to know what you're talking about. Same thing with copying and pasting full, text from other people. If you're writing nonfiction and you're using other people's work, material, research, make sure you're citing it properly, but also make a point. Don't just regurgitate or copy and paste what someone else said. What about it? What's your take on what it is that you're sharing? Make sure it coincides with what you want to say and not just basically ripping off the research or the sayings, words, poetry, etc. of someone else. Okay, so be very careful with that. Also, for those of you who are writing nonfiction, if you are mentioning someone doing something illegal that they have not been charged in court for, which means you can just go online and pull up the information. You can pull up the court documents unless they've been sealed, of course. But if this is hearsay and you heard someone did something or someone attacked you and it was not proven in court, they can sue you for libel, for defamation of character, etc. So be careful about mentioning things that are illegal or things that have happened when it involves someone else and that has not been proven in a court of law. Okay. I think that's, also if you guys are including real people and real companies especially, but companies especially, again, and you're saying something bad about them and your book takes off, the company can sue you. So be careful when you are using real companies. This is why a lot of people encourage you to make up things or make up companies, because you don't want to take the risk of being sued, okay? Beware of fake editors and publishers. I cannot tell you how many authors in my career have had come to me upset because they've signed away lots of rights that they shouldn't have signed away because they did not want to hire an agent, or because they couldn't find an agent, or because they just felt like, they were just so excited to get this deal or this offer and they just signed on the dotted line without really reading and understanding what they were signing. When you are looking for a editor or publisher, look them up, ask them questions, understand who it is that you're working with before you give them money, folks. Before you give them money. Don't give these people money if you don't have solid proof, whether it's an author list. If you go on my website right now, www.lcsliterary.com, all of my credentials are there. In my bio, I have a full resume on my website. I have a catalog of notable projects on my website. You can find everything you need to know about me on my website and on my social media. Any publisher or editor that you're dealing with, you should be able to find that same information. And if you cannot, beware. Because guess what? Once you pay and sign that contract, You can't come to someone like myself and say, oh my gosh, I got swindled. I paid this editor and they ripped me off and now look to me for a discount. I have to eat too. And I'm sorry that you made that mistake, but try to do your research. Talk to people, talk to other authors who have used these people, or again, their social media, their website. They should be open and willing to share their credentials, okay? And the last and final tip that I'm going to give in this video is please take this seriously. This is not for the faint of heart. This is a hard business to break into, to be successful in. Make sure you are surrounding yourself with positive people who can encourage you, who can tell you the truth, okay, who can be your person to lean on when it gets tough, because yes, it's solitary, but not just in craft, but also probably most of the people around you are not writers. They might not even take what you're doing seriously. So you want to make sure to surround yourself with the right people who can encourage you and help to move you forward and give you solid advice. And take this seriously, treat it as a business, have a business plan, be serious about it. Otherwise, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money. And as we know, time is the only thing you cannot get back in this life. So thank you so much again for your time and attention. If you have any questions or comments on anything that I've talked about today, please leave it below. I would love if you would subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much and see you next time.